Hey, happy Wednesday. It's hump day. This is Hobby Evolution episode number 26. And coming up on today's episode, going to discuss grading PSA, BGS, SGC. PSA was in the news earlier this week, and what it sounds like they will be cutting down on bulk subs, those that have subscriptions and grade other people at a discounted price based on their discounts. So, going to offer my opinion on the whole grading process. And the companies PSA, BGS, and SGC. Before we get to that, the updated Cubs count 483,822. The large flat rate box has not yet been counted. Hoping to get to that here in the next couple days. It's probably around 4,000 cards, so it's going to take me a little while. Still playing catch up on trades and eBay sales, so that's been taking a bulk of my time, why I have not been able to get that counted. Just one package arrived in the mail yesterday, and that was another one that took a while, but the seller did send it media mail, so that's much slower. It's from 1984, Leon Durham on the cover, Sports Illustrated. I've just been trying to find some cheap issues of Sports Illustrated with Cubs on the cover. Going to make a run of Cubs Sports Illustrateds. I like how they show in 3-ring binders. So that's just kind of a little side project that when I see something pop up at a low price, I will nab it. I think that Durham SI ran me $3 or $4 shipped. So got that at a decent price. On to today's main topic. I wanted to discuss this for a variety of reasons, namely the press release that came out from PSA. They were pretty vague, but they say they are essentially blocking several clients, customers, subscribers to their services throughout the hobby. It sounds like it is bulk subbers. Now, what bulk subbers do is they have a subscription, and the more you send into a company, you get discounts. So what a bulk subber does is they will not just send in their own cards, but they will take in John and Jake and Joe's 3 or 4 cards because they're not going to be subbing a lot, so they can save using the bulk subbers discounts. So it saves, the end user that only has a couple cards, it saves them a little money by using a bulk subber. That also circumvents the higher fees that PSA, BGS would be receiving from Jake and Joe that would only be subbing a couple cards at a time. So instead of getting their, say, $20, I'm just using blanket fees, say $20 per card, the bulk subber, his discount gets them at, say, $8-9. So they're losing out on some of that money from the smaller submitters. I'm on the fence. I really have no strong opinion either way on the bulk subber issue. I would say, and before I go into detail on my thoughts, I have never subbed a card to a grader. I do have cards in my collection that are graded. I think I have some from each of the major companies, plus some of the lesser known, less reliable companies as well that I just acquired via trade or through collections I have bought. But personally, I have not subbed any cards to a grading company. I actually, on a couple of occasions, I've pulled some cards, put them away in a box that I had intended to sub, but never pulled the trigger. So a couple times when I was going to do that, I was going to use a bulk subber because it was just a handful of cards that I was going to sub. I didn't want a membership. You know, they run $150 a year for a membership to PSA. So did not want to go down that route. I had somebody reach out to me on Twitter yesterday asking me that to write a column or an article on the grading process or on PSA. And unfortunately, I just don't have the knowledge behind grading or the grading companies, the process. I just don't have that knowledge to write something that I feel comfortable publishing. But I do feel comfortable offering my opinions on the process. I think there's a place for grading. I don't personally like it, and I actually have strong opinions on both sides. I think it is great. I think it offers something to collectors that just don't want a raw card. They display really nice. I do like how some of the cases look. Unfortunately, I don't. I think Beckett has the nicest slabs overall. I don't like PSA's red label, and I love SGC's look, but I hate their label. So it's one of those things where, does it pass the eyeball test for you as a collector on the secondary market? Now, from what I've heard from others in the hobby, that PSA sells the best. SGC probably has the least of a resale value on the secondary market for a gem mint card, especially if it's a modern product. SGC is more of your vintage and pre-war. There was a pretty heated debate between Mike and John on Hobby Hotline this week. I was catching up on that last night, so that just kind of solidified my stance on the whole grading process. Mike called it stupid. I wouldn't go that far, but I do have similar thoughts to Mike Summer on grading. I don't personally want to do it, like to do it, have never done it, but I do have cards that are in slabs in my collection for the same reasons that Mike does, because they were acquired in collections, and I received some in trade, Cubs trades, as well. Mike also shared that, he would personally feels it's valuable to slab them authentic for vintage. And that's actually a route that I am gathering some vintage cards. I will be subbing to SGC at some point in the future. I have several T206 cards that are raw, some other pre-war cards that I have that are raw that I would like to get slabbed authentic. SGC is the leader in pre-war slabs and authentication. I have a Joe Tinker T206 that I received in trade. Would love to see. I'm hoping it's authentic. So I would love to get that in a slab. And it's also better. You can get raw copies much cheaper. But there's also that, that on the other side, they may be cheaper because they're not authentic. So that is a road that I will travel here in the near future. As a seller, I think there's great value. I think Mike attached, it's you're paying for a number, not a card. I agree with that as a collector. As a buyer, I agree with that. I agree with John Newman's take as a seller, and John subs a lot, does a lot of grading. As a seller, and he mentioned you can turn a $10 rookie card into a $70 card. So I think there's great value as a seller in the grading process, especially if you hit some gem mint 10s, even 9.5s can give you a nice price hike on the secondary market for resale. So there's great value from a seller. But then my caveat is it's one person's opinion that works for that company. And do they take sides? And there's been a lot bandied about from these companies. Do they have deals with these large subbers? Do they have deals with, ex-employee? Are they giving them more black labels, more more Gem Mint 10s than the regular Joe Schmo that just sends in a couple, because this subber sends in thousands of cards a year. He brings us X amount of money, where Joe Schmo, he's only sent us 3 cards. We've made $60 off him in this calendar year. So that's something that makes me a little squeamish as far as that part of the grading process. And then as a seller that doesn't sell graded cards but sells raw cards, it drives me absolutely crazy when I'll receive eBay messages asking, really detailed questions about the condition of a card. I'm selling raw cards. If there are any major flaws, I will disclose them. If it's an older card, there's a crease. If it's a new chrome card, if I see a scratch, here's what a 99-cent card, I'm listing, some days 50 cards on eBay, especially if Topps Chromes come out. I'm listing. I'm not going to put a 99-cent card under a light in a magnifying glass and look for flaws and scratches. It's a raw card, 99 cents. It's not a Gem Mint 10 that you're going to be able to resell for $25. Maybe you can. But I always answer these questions. If I can send you better pictures, I can send you more pictures, but again, it's all lighting. I can send you 3 different angles, but the 4th angle may show a flaw, and it may not gem out. So it's difficult with the grader's mentality in buying raw cards, and a lot of guys buy raw cards and they accept the consequences. Yeah, I'm buying a raw card at a raw card price. I take what I can get. If it's only an 8, that's what I get, because I bought a raw card at a raw card price. I didn't buy a raw card at a PSA 9 price or a PSA 10 price. I had a recent sale a couple months ago. It was a Gary V card from last year's Gary V set that was unveiled at the National, Marco Luciano. It was a $4 or $5 shipped card. Got a message from the seller. There's a pinhole in it. A pinhole, I thought. Okay, so I looked over the pictures I sent, and they were good pictures. Okay, if you don't like it, return it. So the buyer returned the card. I got it back in the mail, and I looked it over, and I saw nothing. Looked it over 3 or 4 times. Pinhole. He said there was a pinhole in the top right corner to the right of his head. So he gave me an exact location of this pinhole that prevents it from being a Gem Mint card. I didn't sell it as a Gem Mint card. I sold it as a raw card at a raw card price. I looked it over, couldn't find it. So I had dialogue with the buyer. He was very nice about it, but I don't want to deal with people that are going to buy raw cards and then use tools and throw this back in raw sellers' faces. Well, it's not going to gem, even though I didn't buy it at a gem price. I bought it at a raw price, and I used a magnifying glass to see the flaw. You couldn't see it with the naked eye. I couldn't see it. I looked. He told me the exact location of the flaw. I looked and did not see that flaw because he used a magnifying glass. That's what I hate about grading. When somebody buys a raw card at a raw card price, uses a magnifying glass, sees a flaw, and then doesn't want it because it's not going to gem. You bought a $5 card for $5. I'm sorry. I gave him the refund. He's on my list. You made the list. Because I don't want to do business, because 2,000 cards that I have listed, there may be flaws that you can't see with the naked eye, but only with a magnifying glass. And I don't want to take those chances with those types of buyers. So that's my thoughts. Very strong opinion on that side of things. I don't have a strong opinion on the general grading process. I have my doubts. But again, I will be subbing to SGC for authentication purposes on pre-war cards. So it's interesting. I don't have a strong opinion on the bulk subs. I think it's a great way for your onesie twosies to save a few bucks. But if PSA wants to prevent that, that's their prerogative. It's their business. They can do as they see fit. So we'll see how this all translates once more details emerge. That's all I have for today. I did have another topic, but I think I'll discuss it tomorrow because it may be a little long, maybe about as long as what today's ran. So I want to talk about a couple collections. Actually, collections is not really a good term. A couple of purchases that I was looking at making over the weekend. One was on Facebook Marketplace. One was a Craigslist sale. I wrote an article. In the meantime, you can visit 1millioncubs.com in July. If you go to the blog, July 2020, there is an article on buying collections and what I look for in a collection. You see a lot of these people in the hobby buy these awesome collections at great prices. How do they find them? Because you never find them. How do they find them? So it kind of outlines how to find those larger collections and how to price them out. That's the most important part. You can find a huge collection, but if it's a bunch of junk era commons from 88 to 92, you don't want to spend $2,000 on something like that. So it's a great way to it's a great outline to get you started, how to find those collections and how to price them out in my process. Your process could be different, but this is my process, and it's been fairly successful. It's been pretty successful so far in what I've done, and in the most recent sale, one of the collections, and I'll use the term collection. One of the collections I could make money on, but it's all timing right now. It's not a large collection, maybe 500, 600 cards, but it's the process involved. And right now I don't have the time to undertake. In 2 months I may kick myself, man, I wish I would have bought that because I could have got it at a great price and made some good money. But it's all timing right now, and I just don't have the time to put money into something and then turn around and try to piece it out over the next few months. And then the other collection, I just couldn't get the price. I put in my offer on what I felt based on what was shown, what I felt would be a good price that would both allow me some enjoyment, some entertainment in sorting through, but then also get me to that buying price at a break-even point with a little room to make a few bucks, and it wasn't going to break the bank. So I'll give you further details on what those collections consisted of, and ultimately why I decided not to pursue picking those up. That's all for today. I don't think I'm expecting anything in the mail. However, I do have one auction I'm bidding on that is ending, I believe, tonight. It's a pretty cool piece. It's non-card, but it is Cubs. So hopefully I can win that item and share with you the details on tomorrow morning's episode. So thanks for watching. Again, that web article on buying collections and trying to profit, check out my blog at 1millioncubs.com. That's 1millioncubs.com, and one is spelled out. Go to the blog at the top, and then July 2020 is the month that it was published. It's on buying collections, and that will be the topic tomorrow. So, hey, have a great Wednesday, and enjoy.